On the surface, their life was enviable. A young couple in their 30s, successful, admired, and seemingly in love. He was ambitious, working tirelessly to provide. She was graceful, charming, always playing the role of the devoted wife. At family dinners, they were the couple everyone wanted to be. But beneath the surface, something darker was simmering. Welcome to Dark Marriage Secrets. Here, we reveal the truth that love can sometimes be the most dangerous disguise. Tonight's story is not about strangers, not about enemies. It is about betrayal that brews inside a home. And I ask you, when two people vow to love until death, what happens when one of them decides to make that vow come true on their own terms? This is the story of a husband who trusted too much, a wife who played her part too well, and a marriage that ended not with divorce, but with death. What starts with gentle smiles will descend into a silence so cold it will leave you questioning whether you can ever truly know the one you love. Every marriage has its secrets. For them, it began with distance. The husband, Daniel, believed his long hours at work were for the good of their future, saving for a house, planning for children. But to his wife, Emily, those long nights meant abandonment. She felt overlooked, unappreciated, invisible. In public, Emily was the picture of loyalty, laughing at his jokes, holding his arm, sending texts of support. But in private, resentment was growing like poison in her veins. She told friends she was fine. She posted smiling photos, but secretly, she longed for freedom. She had begun confiding in another man, someone who made her feel alive again. That friendship grew into intimacy, into whispered promises, into a fantasy where she could be loved without limits. But there was one problem: her husband. He was not violent, not cruel. He was simply in the way. For some, this would have meant separation or even divorce. But Emily was not willing to give up her perfect image, her financial security, or her new forbidden love. So, quietly, she began to imagine another path. Not freedom through honesty, but freedom through death. And as those thoughts took root, they began to grow. The newlyweds, radiant in the glow of their vows, had chosen a destination that promised both luxury and privacy. Nestled along a sun-drenched coastline, the honeymoon resort seemed like paradise: crystal waters, fragrant blossoms, and candlelit dinners under the stars. To the casual eye, they appeared inseparable, holding hands, whispering inside jokes, and toasting to their future. But cracks have a way of showing when the curtain of celebration begins to fade. On the third night, hotel staff noticed something odd. The bride, usually full of laughter, appeared distracted, her gaze often wandering into the distance. The groom, meanwhile, spoke too much about their finances, their new house, the pressure of expectations. In public, they smiled. Behind closed doors, muffled voices betrayed tension. Then came the night that would turn their honeymoon into a crime scene. Room service recalled delivering a bottle of wine to their suite. Hours later, a piercing scream echoed through the halls. When staff rushed in, they found the groom collapsed on the floor, his face pale, his body twitching. The bride, trembling, shouted for help, insisting that her husband had suddenly fallen ill. Paramedics arrived quickly, but he was pronounced dead before dawn. The initial report cited a possible cardiac arrest. Yet whispers soon began. Why had the bride waited several minutes before calling for help? Why did the room smell faintly of something chemical beneath the scent of spilled wine? Her account wavered. At first, she claimed he had clutched his chest during a toast. Later, she said he had stumbled toward the balcony before collapsing. Each version conflicted with the last. When asked about the timeline, her answers shifted again. And then came the bombshell. A witness, a tourist staying next door, testified that he had heard the couple arguing violently just hours before the husband's death. The paradise of their honeymoon was gone. In its place lay suspicion, confusion, and a haunting question. Was this tragedy an act of fate, or the perfect cover for murder? The police wasted no time. What looked like a medical emergency soon unraveled under forensic scrutiny. Toxicology revealed traces of a foreign substance in the groom's bloodstream, small but lethal enough to trigger a sudden collapse. Investigators combed through the suite. On the bedside table, a nearly empty glass bore fingerprints smeared in haste. In the bathroom bin lay torn packaging of over-the-counter medication, except one blister pack contained pills that didn't match the prescription label. When questioned again, the bride wept, clinging to her image as a devastated widow. "He was the love of my life," she sobbed. "I would never hurt him." Yet detectives noticed something chilling. Her tears came on cue, but there were no wet tissues, no redness in her eyes. The deeper they dug, the stranger the puzzle became. Surveillance cameras showed her leaving the resort grounds twice at odd hours, once the night before the death, once just hours after. Each time, she returned carrying small bags. Asked what they contained, she shrugged. Snacks, souvenirs. But no receipts could confirm the purchases. Her phone painted an even darker picture. Buried beneath ordinary chats with friends was a thread of encrypted messages with an unknown number. The tone was intimate, passionate words, not meant for her husband. One chilling line stood out. "Soon, it will just be us, no more obstacles." The press erupted. Headlines screamed of betrayal, of a picture-perfect marriage hiding a sinister truth. Crowds outside the courthouse split into camps, some insisting the young bride was innocent, a victim of cruel circumstance. Others convinced she was a cold-blooded killer. And yet, the case refused to settle neatly. While evidence suggested poison, no one could prove how it had been administered. The glass had no residue strong enough for certainty. Witnesses contradicted each other. Some heard laughter, others heard fighting. Even the autopsy left room for doubt, citing probable poisoning, but not ruling out rare natural causes. The bride's defense team seized on this uncertainty. They painted her as a grieving wife trapped in a nightmare, scapegoated because she was young, beautiful, and independent. "She is guilty," one lawyer thundered, "only of surviving her husband's tragic death." But the prosecution countered with a question that lingered in every mind. If she was innocent, why did her story change with every retelling? The investigation became more than a search for truth. It became a mirror for society's fears about love, loyalty, and the masks people wear. And as the trial loomed, one reality was clear. Whether guilty or not, the bride would forever be bound to a marriage remembered not for love, but for death. The jury did not take long. Emily was found guilty of murder. Her sentence, life imprisonment. Her lover, who claimed he never knew she would go so far, walked away free but forever tainted by association. In the courtroom, Daniel's family wept, not just for the life lost, but for the cruelty of how it ended. Poison is not quick. It is slow, calculated, designed to make the victim suffer without knowing why. To them, the greatest cruelty was not only the murder itself, but the betrayal that Daniel had died still believing his wife loved him. And so, I leave you with this question. What is more terrifying, that the person you love might betray you, or that they could watch you die by their hand while holding yours in comfort? Marriage is supposed to be a vow of trust. But in this story, love was not the foundation of the home, it was the weapon. This was not just a murder. This was a betrayal so deep, so silent, that it forces us to ask, can you ever truly know the person you marry?